Today's episode is supported by AIDS-Free Pittsburgh. There are more than 5,000 people living with HIV in southwestern Pennsylvania, and the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program provides support services to help them get the care they need. That includes assistance with things like healthcare, medications, housing, transportation, food, and treatment for substance use disorders. Visit aidsfreepittsburgh.org to learn more.
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh. Today is the deadline to register to vote in our next election. It's coming up Tuesday, November 4th, so it feels like a good time to take stock of how well our elections work here and what we could be doing better. I'm with a state representative and an advocate who've got a bunch of ideas about how to improve the voting process here in Pennsylvania, plus their odds of actually getting passed. It's Monday, October 20th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with State Representative Chris Rabb. I know you are based in Philly, but we'll forgive that this time because you are leading the charge in many ways to try to improve the election process here in Pennsylvania. Welcome to CityCast.
Thank you for having me.
And Armin Sammy, you are a volunteer with March on Harrisburg. You've had a different title every time you've been on the show. You hustle so hard.
I do what I can.
I'm glad you're here. Just to start to level set, I am curious how y'all would say PA ranks as it relates to empowering its voters to participate in the electoral process. Like, how are we doing?
I don't know how to rank it relative to other places.
Okay.
I would say not great. As one of many examples, if you are a registered third party, you have to pay for other people's elections that you cannot participate in.
Good point.
If you're a Green, you pay for the Democrats and Republicans to hold their primary, and you show up to the ballot box and there's nothing for you unless you get a ballot measure as medicine on the side. It's not fair.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about open and closed primaries. Rep Rabb, what about you? How does PA rank?
Yeah, it's I'm going to say low. I'm going to say low. And I say that as a super voter. I say that as a former Democratic committee person who was responsible for, turning out the vote in my, within my cadre of 500 odd Democratic neighbors, as a former ward leader, as a former member of the state committee, the Democratic Party, as a candidate, as a legislator. It's way, way low. And that is deeply disconcerting to me as someone who is pro-democracy.
You got plenty of bona fides, there's no doubt. I'm wondering if y'all will talk today about some ideas to maybe improve some of that, improve the election process here in Pennsylvania. Let's start with ranked choice voting. I feel like it's having a moment with the mayoral election in New York. People just seem to be much more aware of it. But if you are not, Armin, we'll start with you. How does ranked choice voting work?
So the easiest way to explain it is that you can vote for whoever you want when you're, at the ballot box. If you're ranking someone for mayor, you vote for whoever you want first and not who you think the polls tell you has a good chance. But the thing is, if you vote for someone who has no chance of winning, you get a backup option. So if you want to vote for a third party or a fringe candidate, you can vote for that person as your number one choice. But if they have no shot of winning, you still get a number two choice and your vote gets transferred to that person instead. So you can still have a say no matter who you support.
Rep Rabb, I know you have talked to your colleagues in Harrisburg about this. Armin, sometimes they're by your side. What's the vibe? Do people, A, understand ranked choice voting, but B, are you getting traction? Like, do they seem into it?
This is the first term, and I'm a fifth term legislator. This is the first time that I feel that there's traction. And this was pre-Zoran. So now that we're coming back in the fall for, more session days, there may be some opportunity to lift this up in ways that it wasn't before because New York City has put this on the map. So I would say, yes, there's some traction that there hasn't been before, but for other folks, and this is not just an indictment of my colleagues, but more of just human beings. Like some people just don't like new shit. Right? Like, oh, it's new, it's scary, I don't want to do it. Right? So they're like, I don't know what this new shit is, but it just doesn't feel right because I've never heard of it and I don't know how it works. But once you show them, then they get it. You can't tell them. Although, Armin, you did a great job of explaining it, probably better than I do. When you show it, it makes perfect sense, right? And so getting people in the room and letting them see how it works and how simple it is, that's the task. And so what I've done previously is I've brought people, Democrats and Republicans, into a room and had them do it. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is cool. Then what happens is they're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to explain it back home. So maybe not. Like, okay, so really that's the challenge, right? People who are open to new things that will improve voter experiences and transparency and efficiency. And then those folks who are just like, I've never heard of it, so it must be bad.
I feel like there's always that element somewhere in the room, right?
Yes.
But I mean, Armin, I feel like you have spent a good portion of your adult life advocating to change minds like that. I know you've set up demos for people like Rep. Rabb is talking about. What is it like to try to show people this thing and how do they react in real time?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways you can talk about ranked choice voting. I like a very simple analogy, which is if you walk into Baskin Robbins, it's a 30 wonderful world. They've got 31 flavors. Total aside, they actually have 32 because there's an even number.
I thought it was 32. Yeah, okay.
There's 32, but it's a 30 wonderful world. If you walk in and they don't have your top flavor, you're not leaving the Baskin Robbins. You're going with something else. Why don't we have the same thing with our elections? If your top choice isn't going to win, why do you have to leave the room? Why do you not get a say? And so that's the motivation. To actually explain how it works and the mechanics, that puts on one of my other hats, other of many hats I wear, which is the founder of a tool called RCViz, which is an election night reporting tool for ranked choice voting elections. And the goal of RCViz is to make it easier for voters to understand what happened in a ranked choice voting election, to see how the eventual winner became the winner. Because it is a little more complicated than a standard first past the post election, because it's not just here's how many votes everyone got, it happens in rounds. And if you don't have good visualizations of that, it can seem confusing to voters. Once you snap those good visualizations on a screen, it eases people's minds. They see like, oh, this makes sense, I get it.
I feel like if Americans can even begin to wrap their head around electoral college, then this should be achievable.
But they can't, right? I mean, electoral college, like people both don't get it. And there's competing visualizations which tell different stories, right? Blue states use population adjusted visualizations and red states use just like geographic visualizations. And we're just hearing different stories with the same data.
You're right. You're right. I take it all back.
Yeah. But hey, Armin, your tool is aggressively awesome.
Thank you, Rep. Rabb.
And I'm a visual learner. So what I love about Armin and other stakeholders around this is there are very creative ways to show how you rank anything, beers, ice cream, pretzels, whatever. And it makes it fun and accessible. And I think that's helpful. And it's also why I'm encouraged, because once people see it in practice, through a visualization, more and more people will get it.
When I know you believe in it enough that you recently released a legislative memo, in support of it. But I got to wonder, like, how many years do you think you're going to have to advocate for this before Pennsylvania sees your case?
I think what's going to have to happen is it's going to have to be used in a place where it transcends ideology. So in New York, it was used to help Eric Adams win, who I would consider a very conservative Democrat. And now it's used in New York City to have helped get the Democratic nomination for a very left-wing Democrat. If we see in Pennsylvania that it's used in a conservative district and voters respond very positively to it, I think that will change things. Or if we see it in other places outside of Pennsylvania, and then Pennsylvanians who have a different political view say, oh, work there, maybe it'll work here. But there are already folks who are doing it, who use RCV right now, like the state of Georgia uses it for military ballots, for folks who are overseas. So that we try to lift up examples of conservative constituencies using it right now on the books. And that's helpful, but I think we need more examples where this transcends ideology, because when a progressive Democrat from Philadelphia introduces something, it's automatically suspect. And as soon as I can get a true believer who's a colleague who's conservative from a rural district, I think that's what's going to tip things in favor of this.
So at March in Harrisburg, what we're really trying to do is get people interested and excited about this. And so what we'll do is we'll partner with different breweries or different coffee shops, and we'll say, hey, if you're releasing a new line of beer, we will bring in like 30 people and we will rank your beers so you can basically get product testing. We'll pay for everything. We'll rank the beers. And then people get to experience ranked choice voting in the works. Because oftentimes, like if you consider a normal election, a beer like an IPA could end up being the plurality winner, right? Because if you've got 4 lagers in an IPA, the lager vote is split 4 ways. And the IPA vote ekes out ahead, but it is a divisive beer. With ranked choice voting, that IPA falls to where it deserves to be, kind of on the wayside, and maybe one of the lagers makes its way up. Now, I'm not a beer guy. I'm sure I offended half of Pennsylvania here, and I'm so sorry. But we try to do those events just to educate the public on here's how to vote, here's how it works, and here's how it's better than what you have today.
No, I mean, I think you just described our next member event. I'm loving it.
Let's do it. March in Harrisburg collab with CityCast.
Let's do it. I mean, what is the pathway in your mind for how to get this, how to win hearts and minds for, your colleagues in Harrisburg?
Listen, I've had success with bipartisan legislation. And so I had a bill to repeal the death penalty. And, I'm a big old lefty. So I got a big old righty who would self-identified as pro-life, right? And he's like, would you like me to join you on this bill? I'd be honored, but it's straightforward, repeal the death penalty, no exceptions, he's like, yeah, I'm on board. And the two of us were quite a pair because we had nothing in common. And it became quite a spectacle. And when people saw that on such an important issue, that two people came from vastly different lived experiences and political ideologies could come together for a very salient issue, it captured people's attention and curiosity. I think this is what needs to happen here. This is not something that is inherently beneficial to the political left or the political right. This is what's best for the electorate and democracy itself. And what I love about RCV is we get to see how and why people got elected, right? Normal elections, they're very binary. We just see who gets elected. And then all the pundits will say, oh, this was a mandate for this or a mandate for that. And it's just BS, right? But here you can see this is the pathway that this person won a majority, because a lot of my colleagues may not have ever experienced a majority if they've only won a plurality. If there's a bunch of people running in a primary, for instance, right? There's 7 people running, you could win with 20%. But that's not particularly good for democracy. You want to have a majority, and RCV requires that. So I think we have the ability to move this forward as soon as the ideological kind of assumptions and concerns dissolve. And also, I have conservative colleagues who are anti-establishment, but in their backyards, the establishment is the Republican Party. So they may identify as libertarian or something else. And they are tired of the strictures of that establishment. So anti-establishment conservatives could see value in something like this. And I think that creates more momentum for RCV.
And just to be clear, too, this isn't something that the entire state would have to adopt writ large, right? Like an individual county, for example, could give it a shot, that kind of thing, and then it catch on from there?
Yes. So this new iteration of the legislation just simply allows a given municipality or county government to implement this. It would not be mandated statewide. So if Philly wanted to do it and Pittsburgh was like, no, or vice versa, or Allegheny County or, Reading, they can go ahead and do it as they see fit. And that gives people that choice, right? And I think that's good in a Commonwealth. So we have that diversity of options. And then what happens is if if you all do it in Pittsburgh and it's popping and like, oh,
and
this is great,
works.
and it works, it will expand.
CityCast Pittsburgh is sponsored by the Frick Pittsburgh Museum and Gardens. They just opened their latest exhibit, The Scandinavian Home, Landscape and Lore. I'm going to be honest, when I first heard that name, my mind jumped straight to IKEA furniture, but there will be no cardboard mountains or Allen wrenches if you visit the Frick. And the exhibit actually includes a lot more than furniture. You're going to get to peek at decor and folk art. Think ceramics, glass, paintings, textiles, sculptures even from Denmark and Norway, Sweden, and Finland. The Scandinavian Home has over 100 never-seen-before items from a private collector. So you'll be transported to a world where the domestic and the mythic meet. There are princesses, trolls, gnomes, a lot of fairy tale magic. It's all just so cozy and perfect for this time of year. The Scandinavian Home, Landscape and Lore is on view through January 11th, 2026. Perfect for your holiday plans. Get your tickets at thefrickpittsburgh.org. Today's episode is sponsored in part by Family House. For families traveling here for medical care, the cost of food is just another expense to worry about. But Family House's daily healthy breakfast program takes away some of that stress, while also providing a little connection. The program's available to all Family House guests, and it provides nourishing meals, a welcoming space, and the chance to meet others facing similar medical challenges. But the cost of this meal program is going up. Family House needs your help. Every donation helps keep breakfast and the support it provides available to those who need it most. You can give at familyhouse.org/donate and save the date for Family House's Day of Giving. It's December 2nd on Giving Tuesday. You know, Family House really is a home away from home for patients and caregivers here in Pittsburgh, and it's the preferred lodging partner for a lot of our healthcare systems here. So again, if you want to support their cause, head over to familyhouse.org/donate.
Today's episode is supported in part by the Pittsburgh Opera. If you have been looking to dip into the world of opera, the perfect performance is coming up. The Pittsburgh Opera is putting on Puccini's La Bohème at the Benedum Center, and the show opens this coming Saturday. It is a passionate love story between the seamstress Mimi and the poet Rodolfo, and of course it is set in Paris, the perfect setting for this. And while you're at the theater, you will feel all the feels. The show is going to make you laugh and also bring you to tears because the music is just so captivating and the story is absolutely riveting. This is a really timeless performance, and the opera actually inspired the musical Rent, so if you're a fan of that, definitely grab your seat at La Bohème. Tickets start at just $20 and the performances run from October 18th through the 26th. There's even free childcare at the Sunday matinee, so if that sweetens the deal, definitely make sure to book that in advance. Learn more at pittsburghopera.org/citycast.
Okay, next idea, opening up our currently closed primary system. So if you are new to Pennsylvania or you have not been here yet for an election, our closed primary means that you must be a registered Republican or Democrat during a primary if you want to weigh in on the candidates then. So like Armin said from the jump, you might get to post a vote on a ballot measure or something, but that is all you're showing up for. However, as a taxpayer, you are still covering the cost of putting on the whole election. I do not understand why anyone would have a closed primary system. What is even the defense?
I was on a call with somebody defending it, and they gave a very frustrating reason. And here's what they said. They said, it is so easy to switch your party registration. So if you're a Green, what you should do is 4 to 5 days before the election, change to a Democrat or Republican, vote, and then change back after the election. And it takes 2 seconds online. So why are we complaining?
Because it's an extra step.
It's an extra, and people are not doing it.
No.
It's not happening. People who are registered as a third party deserve to vote without pretending that they care about one of the other two parties. I don't understand the defense of it. The fact that this is the defense I heard and the strongest defense I heard. I don't know if I'm doing their side justice, but you asked me to do. Okay. So yeah, I don't get it. It seems absurd. We should let people vote.
It's very condescending.
It is.
I also feel like it's peak Pennsylvania to speak in favor of paperwork.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there's been this push for open primaries for a while now. Rep Rab, I know you co-sponsored something earlier this year. It made it out of House committee in May, but it has not moved since then. Why isn't there more traction for less paperwork in Pennsylvania?
It's about political domination. This is about Democrats and Republicans who are connected to their respective establishments not wanting to work harder or have more competition from folks who are not allowed to compete currently because they're second-class citizens. They're second-class voters. We have over 1 million people who chose to remain unaffiliated. And I respect that. They have no voice in one-party jurisdictions. They have no power in Philadelphia. They have not much power in Pittsburgh, in any other places. And the same applies to folks in red areas. They're cut out. Back in the 30s, there were communists. There were socialists. There were all kinds of folks, and they were kicking Democratic and Republican butts. And Democrats and Republicans came together to change the elections code in the 30s to make sure it was a duopoly, which has persisted to this day.
I love that you're taking us to school now. I mean, the argument I have historically heard in favor of this archaic system that I hate is that it prevents, for example, Republicans from hijacking a Democratic primary or Democrats from hijacking a Republican.
They could do that now and they're not doing it.
I mean, I used to live in California, and I had roommates who did this, who would switch parties to vote in the Republican primary because they felt like their vote was more effective. It was rare. It was never a concerted movement. It was always fringe. And it's already happening with the two-party system, not with open primaries. So I don't see the argument. And we have data. Like, this isn't new. We have open primaries in several states.
In lots of other states. I mean, I grew up in Tennessee, and that was a whole thing. Like, when you walked in, it didn't matter what party you were registered for. They would say, do you want to vote Democrat? Do you want to vote Republican? Now, I was in the middle of nowhere. There was pressure to pick one or the other. But still, I could say what I wanted to, and nobody batted an eyelash. They didn't care. They just wanted me to vote.
Exactly. So, I don't know. People build up these straw man arguments, but I think what Rep Rab is exactly right? It's to preserve the duopoly and the power that's in the hands of just a few people in the legislature that these things are so hard to change.
Okay, let's talk about the next one, the national popular vote. There is a movement right now where a bunch of states have joined something called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. So the idea is that if enough states join, then whoever gets the most votes in a national presidential election would win the race. How exactly would this work? And how would Pennsylvania play a part in that, like if we did join the compact?
So the national popular vote simply says if the national popular vote goes to candidate A, then Pennsylvania will give all its electoral votes to candidate A. And states are allowed to do that. So the Interstate Compact bill basically says if we have enough states that give all their electoral votes respectively to the winner of the national popular vote, and it meets or exceeds 270 electoral votes, that means that president has been elected based on the national popular vote, and the electoral votes will follow. So it's very straightforward and streamlined. And if Pennsylvania turns the corner and joins, it's one of the remaining big states that could put it over the top. I forget what the count is now, but we're not too far away from those 270 votes. And it would be a game changer after that.
Armin, what about you?
What I used to think is that this is a Democratic ploy to always win the presidency. And then I heard the people from the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact discuss it, and I realized that's not true at all. So in 2024, 94% of general election campaign events took place in 7 states. We know those 7 swing states. That is taking a voice away from people in Idaho. It is taking away voices from people in California. It is not just Democratic states. It is Republican states, too, who are not getting campaign events, who The campaign issues are not being targeted to them. It is just focused on what issues should we decide on these 7 states. And one of the things I found the funniest is how fracking became a national issue.
Oh my gosh.
Just seemingly
you and me both.
Win Pennsylvania. Like, why is fracking on the debate stage?
As if it's the only thing we ever think or cared about, and Pennsylvania voters are just obsessed with fracking.
Right. But the fact that like on a national debate stage, like this is coming up, like I'm not saying fracking is not important. I'm saying like the issues to America as a whole, fracking should not have made it in that hour. Right. But the reason it did is because of these swing states, and national popular vote breaks that up and makes sure campaign happens everywhere. So if you are trying to run for president, you talk to people in Idaho, you talk to people in Vermont, you talk to people in Texas. You're not just focused on the swing states.
Which, to be clear, would mean Pennsylvania would likely get less attention because we are one of those swing states.
Which, if we got fewer mailers, I'd be okay with that.
Oh my gosh,
the amount
think about
of junk
that.
mail I get.
The texts, the calls, like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'd still get some, shine, but it wouldn't be like it was before, and that's okay. But also, to Armin's point, in 2004, if John Kerry won 60,000 more votes in Ohio, he would have been president, even though he would have lost the popular vote. That's not right. I voted for him, but I don't think he should have won because of that. I believe if you don't win the popular vote, you should not be president. I'm just old-fashioned that way. And so this goes both ways.
And once again, Rep. you have introduced a bill suggesting we could jump on this bandwagon, but there hasn't been any movement. So I'm curious if you think this is something that could pick up steam, maybe closer to the next election. I say that knowing we are just a few days out now from an election. But I mean, is there hope for this one?
Yes, and it's not great for Democrats, but yes, there's hope. And the reason there's hope is because there was a belief up until fairly recently that the demography of our electorate nationally would make it really hard to elect a Republican. That math has changed radically. And so now there's more hope for Republicans running for president in future races where the Electoral College is not perceived as skewed towards Democrats. This levels the playing field. And like, I want to win on a level playing field. I'm just old fashioned that way. So I think because of that, I think there are going to be more Republicans who do the math, right? These are going to be the more substantive, thoughtful Republicans who say, well, actually, this is not inherently beneficial to Democrats or folks on the left. This could be work to our benefit too. So if it could go either way, like RCV, right? The first time New York City did it, it benefited a conservative candidate. The second time they've done it, it's benefited a left-wing candidate. And ultimately, it's what the people want. As long as it's fair and there's transparency and accountability, then let the chips fall where they may.
Well, before we let you go, I wondered if there was maybe worth a bonus round. If there's anything else that's not on this short list of things we would love to change to make voting better in Pennsylvania, if there's anything else you would like to see. For example, mine, I would like voting to be a holiday. I would like our election day to be a full-blown holiday. No one has to work. It's very easy to go. I also want early voting, like real official early voting, so I can go vote whenever I want to. This doesn't feel complicated.
Yes. Let me nerd out here. So I already have a bill.
Of course you do.
I mean, look, I'm a nerd. What do you expect? Like, of course I have a bill.
No, come on, bring it, Philly. I love it.
I've introduced this bill 4 or 5 times. So it would get rid of Columbus Day and give that holiday. I know it's very controversial because, Columbus was just an amazing, misunderstood human being who, he just, the genocide wasn't his fault. Anyway, so we're going to give that state holiday to the voters. And so instead of having it on the second Monday of October, we'll make it the second Tuesday of November. So yes, there's a bill for that. So if you're pro-democracy and anti-Columbus, yay. But I want to float something else out there that's super important. A very large and growing percentage of my colleagues have gotten into incumbency, have gotten into elective office because of special elections, where like 10% of the electorate show up.
Yeah, like the off year or the like not during a normal election, like some other random day and month.
Yeah, just some random date that most people don't know about. And, only the true believers show up. There's not a lot of marketing, but it's super expensive. And once they become incumbents, it's really hard for them to get out of office because incumbency really benefits elected officials, shockingly. So what I propose is only mail-in balloting for special elections. Send out a ballot to everyone and also make it nonpartisan. So anyone can run irrespective of party affiliation. Currently, special elections, you can only have one Democrat and one Republican on the ballot. And who decides who's that Democrat or who's that Republican? The establishment.
Party leadership.
Yes,
yeah.
That is the entrenched Democratic machine or Republican machine politics that I talked about earlier, right? So we need to dissolve all that shit and let the people decide. Give them the mail-in ballot, and whoever wants to run can run. It saves money, it's more convenient, and it's more democratic. And you could include ranked choice voting as a part of that as well. And it can all be done collectively. And I would consider it radical, but it's very easy to be radical in Harrisburg because if you do the same thing over and over, anything else just seems crazy.
Armin, what about you? If you're dreaming just a little bit, what else would you add to the list?
I would love to see multi-member districts. Let me explain. So Philly City Council, Allegheny Council, County Council has something similar, but Philly City Council has 5 out of 7 seats reserved for one party, essentially, and 2 for a different party. That 5-2 split is regardless of if you've got 99% Democrats or 51% Democrats. Whatever the majority party is gets 5 seats. Whatever the second biggest party is will get 2 seats. It's because they have something called limited voting, and it can be made better by having multi-member districts. It's called single transferable vote, and it's the same thing as RCV, ranked choice voting. You just fill out your ballot in the exact same way. You rank your preferences in order 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will create a fair city council where if you've got 99% Democrats and 1% Republican, Democrats win all the seats. If you've got 51% Democrats and 49% Republicans, then it's split more fairly. So multi-member districts, they do it all over the world. They do it in some place in the US. We could do it here. It's a way fairer system to get proportional representation so the elected officials actually match the electorate.
Something for county council to consider. I know it's a little different, but still. Anything else on the wish list?
Oh, don't say that. I got so many more things. I don't have the time for this. There's
just read his bills.
We haven't changed our ward district, our ward boundaries, at least in Philadelphia, in over 50 years. So you could have a ward that has 1,000 voters in it and another ward that has 20,000. If we do reapportionment every 10 years because of the U.S. constitutional requirements, we should do the same for our political wards. I mean, that's real basic.
Pennsylvania doesn't like to take for a fresh stock of things, though. Like, we've proven that on a variety of fronts.
No comment.
I'm getting some nods. We'll leave it there. Chris, Armin, thank you both so much. And Rep Rabb, thank you so much for your service in Harrisburg.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Megan.
That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. By the way, Representative Rabb hinted at this, but the backstory behind how we, like Pennsylvania, America, got this whole 2-party system is pretty fascinating. We will drop a couple links in the show notes if you want to learn more. And one last time, today is your deadline to register to vote. If you live in Pittsburgh, you will be choosing our next mayor, but everyone will be deciding whether to retain 3 state Supreme Court justices, and it is really important. It's a decision that will have an impact on everything from abortion access to voting rights. We did a whole episode about it. You really want to have your voice heard. We will put that in our show notes along with information about how you can still register to vote. The deadline's today. If you like what we do here at CityCast, you can become a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. The details are at membership.citycast.fm. We will be back tomorrow with more from around the city. We'll talk to you soon. I will Google fusion voting because I still don't know what that is.
Yeah.